infant with a defective heart.
The coordinator was called.
A transplant is her only hope.
It's terrifying. It's just something we gotta do. We love her and just want her to have the best life she can possibly have.
A heart is found that can save her, but it's hundreds of miles away.
Down on.
It's a desperate race against time.
No heart yet?
An organ shortage means thousands of patients wait for months, even years.
We're desperately short of organ donors. A quarter of our patients will die waiting for a transplant.
If she doesn't get this now, within 3 months, I don't think she would be here anyway. So that's how critical it is.
Can scientists find new solutions to the organ crisis?
What we're talking about is having off-the-shelf tissues. That's awesome.
Courageous families face wrenching decisions.
Our whole world has been turned upside down. In a matter of moments, our life changed.
Everybody pray. This is a loss of their son. So if we can have like 5 seconds of silence to just remember the gift that this family is willing to give through their son.
And critically ill patients get a new chance at life.
It's exciting. That's what transplant's about. And of course, it saves lives, it transforms lives. It's a wonderful privilege to be part of that.
Transplanting hope, right now on Nova.
Major funding for Nova is provided by the following.
Our guidance technology took astronauts to the moon and back. From outer space to inner cells. When engineered solutions are needed, we are there, pushing boundaries and delivering tomorrow's capabilities. We are Draper.
Fidelity Wealth Management. The David H. Koch Fund for Science, supporting Nova and promoting public understanding of science. And the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by PBS viewers like you. Thank you.
A former builder of sets for films and television, Lee Sanderson is struggling for life. His lungs are fatally scarred from exposure to toxic chemicals at his job. His only hope is a lung transplant. In another part of the hospital, Alex Rada has suffered a fatal brain aneurysm.
He's a 25-year-old.
25 years.
Ruptured AVM.
But before Alex is removed from life support, he has one last gift to give.
Heart, liver, lungs, kidney, pancreas, and then a single kidney.
Alex is an organ donor.
We'd like to take a moment to thank Alexander for his gift and for the family for consenting on his behalf. A moment of silence, please. Hey, Lee. How are you?
Okay.
Good.
So, good news for you. There is a donor. Already. But I think I warned you it would happen pretty quickly.
Is everyone okay to go ahead?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you.
The next time I see you, you have new lungs, you're in the ICU, okay?
Okay, pancreas is coming out.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
A donor like Alex can potentially give 8 organs and save 8 lives. Lee got his new lungs from a different donor. 3 days after his transplant, they're ready to breathe on their own.
Deep breath.
Nice, slow, deep breaths, remember? Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice deep breath in. Cough it all out for me. Keep coughing. Cough it out. Keep coughing. Lee, can you say hi?
Hello.
Lee received his new lungs in Canada. In the United States, there are 116,000 people waiting for transplants. Another name is added to the list every 10 minutes. And 20 people die each day because they don't get the organs they need. Canada's population is much smaller, but organ donation here is less common, so the shortage is just as critical.
Organ donation, relatively speaking, it's not a big volume of patients that we're talking about in the country. And although it's a relatively rare event, it is such an important impact event because we know that organ donors can save many, many lives.
The stakes are never higher than when a newborn needs a transplant. Harlow Bergen is just 2 weeks old. She was born with a fatal heart defect. Only a transplant can save her. But for infants, donated hearts are extremely rare. And even if she gets a transplant, Harlow could face lifelong health problems, starting with the possibility that her body might reject the new heart.
I think we all agree that transplant for sure gives her the best chance to lead as close as possible to normal life. You do know, however, too, that it's not going to be a walk in the park. It is exchanging a life-threatening situation in which she is now with kind of a chronic disease or chronic abnormality. So you know she will lifelong depend on taking medications. And in children that are immune suppressed, that can cause a lymphoma, which is basically a type of leukemia, and that's not that uncommon. But I think it's, in all fairness, important for you to be aware of that as a possible option, but also be aware that 90% of our kids do really, really well.
Yeah, you think about going through the whole heart transplant and then maybe later on dealing with cancer or something like that. It's terrifying. It's just something we gotta do. We love her and just want her to have the best life she can possibly have. So
I don't know if we really have many options at this point.
Good morning.
All across Canada, organ donation teams will now be on alert for a heart for Harlow.
Karen?
Yep.
Flush your pulmonal bleed.
Yep.
Karen Elgert is overseeing the search.
Yep. On, in, perfused.
Karen is a nurse with HOPE, the hospital's human organ procurement team. Once a family decides to donate, she coordinates the whole process.
So it's going to be
OR6.
OR6, yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Chris.
Karen is in constant contact with hospitals across the country. She's the first to know when organs become available.
So I'm actually calling you with a heart offer. Okay. Blood type is O positive.
It's an infant heart, and it was found quickly. The Bergens have only had to wait for 2 weeks.
I guess you can kind of guess what's going on if we're coming with the big team. So we actually do have an organ for her. a little bit smaller child than her. It's going to be sometime tonight, coming out sometime tomorrow morning. So just wanted to give you a heads up. We're pretty happy about it too. I think it's actually the perfect time. And it is a very good organ.
Guess what? Harlow's gonna get a new heart. I prayed for it all week that it would happen this week.
As Judy and Jason brace themselves for a long night of waiting, a massive effort gets underway to retrieve the heart for Harlow. Now that Karen knows the heart is a match, she and a team of retrieval surgeons spring into action.
So we are now en route.
They charter a jet and take off for a hospital on the other side of the country, where a dying baby is on life support. The donated heart must maintain its oxygen supply and keep beating until the last possible second.
From the time the heart is stopped till the time that it's beating again in the recipient, there's a very finite time, which is like for adults about 4 hours, and then for peds they maybe upwards of 6 or 7. They don't like that, but sometimes you have no choice. Hi, kids. Yeah, hi, Dr. Rebecca. So the heart looks good. Yeah. And our ETA is about 2:30 to 3.
Once Karen gives the green light, Harlow's surgeons prepare. Just before 3 a.m., she's wheeled in. The retrieval team must be close before Harlow's put to sleep, but she must be ready for transplant as soon as the heart arrives. Every minute the new heart lacks oxygen comes at a cost.
He landed.
Surgeon Ivan Rebecca has been in contact with Karen all night to calculate the perfect moment to open Harlow's chest.
Coordinator was called.
No heart yet.
Just as the new heart enters the operating room, Harlow's damaged heart is removed.
Let's see the new heart. Okay, the lungs on. Let's have a look here. Let's just have a little peek, because that left atrial line is a little bit fussy. Pull it back a smidge. Okay, that looks good. Okay, start hemoing. So heart's on its own now. It's a good heart, it came from a long ways away. So it was in the bucket there for like 5.5 hours, huh? You know, this started up like within 2 minutes of us taking that clamp off, and that's usually a pretty good sign. Hi, Mr. Burgundy, man, I'm Dr. Rebecca. How are you? Good. So we're all done. Everything went very, very well. So heart's working on its own now. It's a bit early to relax completely, but things look pretty good, so I think we're in good shape. Okay? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later, folks.
Because their immune systems are still developing, babies generally have fewer problems with rejection than adults. But Harlow will still have to take anti-rejection drugs all her life, and she could end up needing a second transplant if anything goes wrong, as she and her new heart grow. One floor away, another surgical team is rushing to salvage what they can after an organ donor's death. "17
years to go through your undergrad for a few years, and then going into medical school for 4 years, then doing your residency, which is a minimum of 6 years. But during mine and Dr. Fareed's, we both did a PhD during our residency. That's 17 years after you graduate from high school before you start working. So I truly mean it, and I feel very privileged to say that I trained my whole life for today. Doesn't matter if we're going to get a little less sleep today. It's a big day for the team."
Another ready blade, please.
Frozen right goes in saline, please. Staff pathology.
These surgeons are retrieving multiple organs from a brain-dead donor.
These are some of the nicest lungs I've ever seen in my whole life. They're absolutely spectacular. They're as good as they could ever be, and it would have been such a shame had we not been able to use it. 1 in 3 of our patients waiting for lung transplants don't survive to getting one, and that's why there's no give up. It's this fight to the very end for us every time we get a chance.
This donor's kidneys, liver, and lungs are successfully retrieved. But tragically, the heart cannot be used. Trapped too long in the chest without oxygen, the heart tissue has died. More than 60% of all donated hearts are not actually used for transplants because too much time goes by after a donor's death. But a new experiment might offer hope that some of these hearts could stay viable for a longer window. It's called ex vivo technology, a way of keeping organs alive outside the body.
You want to start the insulin, Sinus?
Jayan Nagendran and Darren Freed have invented a machine that keeps a heart warm and oxygenated instead of storing it on ice. This could give doctors more time to use it for transplant. They've had some success experimenting with lungs. This is the first time they're trying to bring a discarded heart back to life.
Did you guys see that? The heartbeat? Did you see that? The heart is an amazing organ. You give it blood and it will beat. It's absolutely amazing. You actually don't have to do anything. Look at that.
Gosh.
Air situation.
But after pumping for just a few minutes, a blood clot makes the heart seize up.
You've lost it for sure.
Oh yeah, I just saw it go down. Yeah. So this is our problem, right?
Yeah, that's
we shouldn't have clots.
That clot.
And so this has plugged up the tubing and the pumps and everything. We're very meticulous about anticoagulation to make sure that this doesn't happen. The heart is filling up with clot instead of heparinized blood or thinned blood. But for the first time we do this, to lose it this way is, devastating. It's incredibly frustrating.
This was still an important first step, even though it didn't go to fruition.
Even though it went down in flames.
The doctors can't hide their disappointment. They'll study this failure to help refine the technology. And if they eventually perfect a technique to save more organs, it could change the odds for thousands of patients.
The fascinating thing about these ex vivo technologies is that organs that otherwise were not transplantable can now be removed and repaired. And so that means that you can use perhaps many more organs that previously you couldn't use before. So I think the potential is phenomenal. There's no reason why you can't envision a future where I have a failed lung. Maybe I need my organ taken out of my body, repaired outside of my body, remodeled, and then transplanted back into my body so I can be my own donor.
Until that day comes, the essence of transplant medicine remains. Saving lives always means losing someone who is precious to a family.
In intensive care, it is routine for us to work at the junction of life-saving treatments and the potential for people to die. And our job with families is to recognize when there is no longer anything that we can do to save that person's life. We've exhausted all possibilities.
28-year-old Matthew Babchishin is in intensive care with a serious brain injury.
You're such a giving man. You're so giving, Matthew. I know you can do it. I know you can fight. Our whole world has been turned upside down. Our whole world. We were such a content family and we just felt so lucky. And then, bang. In a matter of moments, our life changed.
What I'll need is the flash.
For 3 days, doctors have been searching for any sign that Matthew's brain is still functioning.
This is a very scary day for us. We do know we were told 72 hours. We do know these tests are going to show a lot, give some answers. I'm very afraid of what the answers could be.
You may turn on the light now so that... You're able to, you can come in if you wish. I'm just repeating what we did this morning, okay? You can hold his hand if you wish.
My son, my beautiful boy. You're so blessed, Matthew. You're so blessed.
He will be moving. We just stopped the drug for the exam and then... I'm just going to put this in his mouth to check his gag reflex.
Don't suffer, my boy. Don't suffer, my boy. I love you, my son. I love you.
Okay. Would you like to stay here? I'm just going out to the family conference room to meet with your family. Would you like to stay here or join me?
I want to join you.
Okay. We'll come back.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to come back, so
yeah.
we'll just go out there now.
Okay.
I've been pacing up and down these hallways, and all of a sudden it reminded me of when Matthew was born and the similarity of me pacing that hallway, and it struck me I was waiting for Bertha Matthew again. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a birth.
I'm Dr. Koutsianos. I'm the attending intensive care unit physician this week here. I've been caring for Matt since Monday. As you're aware, he had an episode where his heart stopped for a long period of time. It was at least 20 minutes before he recovered his blood pressure when we look at everything from start to finish. He's been ill in the ICU. He's been comatose in the ICU. I had organized another special test yesterday to be done today. And we know when we don't receive signal in the lower part of the brain on both sides that we can tell you with a very, very high certainty that he won't recover meaningful brain function.
Oh,
no. So we're left at this circumstance where I don't think any family would want an individual to be left on life support in this circumstance in the long run.
So what you're also saying, there is no miracle?
I'm saying that I can tell you with
it's done,
pretty good. We don't want to make an error in this situation because you can understand it's someone's life.
Yes, I understand what you've...
Well, I think at this stage, I'd recommend that he, in the long term, by that I mean days, not stay on life support because we're really prolonging the dying process.
Les, what do you think?
Yeah, I just want to be by Matthew's side. Now I know I'm saying goodbye. He's such a special boy. I personally would like it the sooner the better because I don't want him to be in this comatose state. All I want to do is hold my boy for the last couple of days or hours that I have.
I have one more thing that I want to discuss. It's an obligation on my part by
I know
law
what you're going to
to-
talk about.
Yes.
And that is the issue of organ and tissue donation. But it's an introduction to that to think about, to discuss, and we can have another discussion tomorrow regarding that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you so much. I love you, Matthew. I love you so much, Matthew. I love you so much.
For Matthew's family, this is the end of hope. And in the face of their loss, they must make a profound decision. There's a narrow window of time to decide whether part of him could save the life of someone else. Surgeon James Shapiro understands the urgency. Many of his patients are dying on the transplant wait list.
Hello, David. Morning, how are you?
Oh, still pretty sore.
You put on some Creon. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
You didn't get dialysis over the weekend?
Yesterday they didn't. Decided not to do it.
Okay. You might need to go back to the dialysis again a little bit after the surgery. It's always a possibility. We'll see you later. We're desperately short of organ donors. A quarter of our patients will die waiting for a transplant. Some of them will wait years for a transplant in certain blood groups. Some of them will go straight, close to the top of the list because they're so sick. Many people will die waiting because the organ doesn't come in time.
The shortage of organs means many patients get sicker and sicker as they wait.
You all ready for your big day?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Scared, but already.
That's normal.
Pat Fisher is in end-stage liver failure.
It's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been waiting for weeks, and finally there's a matching donor. But by now, Pat is very weak. This will make her transplant even riskier.
Ouch.
The end result would be, if she doesn't get this now, within 3 months, I don't think she would be here anyway. So that's how critical it is. It was a very tight timeline for her.
She has what we call a high MELD score, which means that the liver has been very diseased, very scarred, a lot of pressure in the veins, a lot of risk of bleeding. This is big surgery. This isn't just routine. There's nothing routine about this.
I'm so scared.
Always get a second chance. This is it. This is your second chance.
We've just clamped the major vein to the liver, the vena cava. So we're about to cut the liver out. All right. So here comes the liver. Can you see how horribly diseased this liver is? It really is. It's horrible, yeah.
So actually, she required a little bit of resuscitation.
With a patient as fragile as Pat, the surgeons are working at the limits of medicine.
You can't say that it's definitive that she's going to be all right. Right? There could be lots of problems. And the end result of some of them is death, right? So it's not fair. But these things happen in life, and that's the way it is.
In this little salad bowl, 3, 2, 1, in we go. Now the liver enters the field.
As expected, Pat's transplant is difficult. It takes the entire night to complete.
So we're ready to unclamp in about 30 seconds, Tim.
All right.
When you watch a new organ come to life like this, the patient's own blood fills the organ and it starts to function. It never fails to, give me some thrill. It still gives me a kick, even now. Good job. Somebody has end-stage liver disease at one moment, you release the clamps, and now they suddenly have a new chance at life again. It's exciting. That's what transplant's about. And of course, it saves lives. It helps people, transforms lives. It's a wonderful privilege to be part of that.
Pat's new liver begins working right away, but she has many other complications, including a series of life-threatening infections that are resistant to antibiotics. It takes 4 months of round-the-clock intensive care before she's finally well enough to move to a regular ward.
Oh, is this Dr. Shapiro?
It is.
Oh, hello.
Pat, how are you?
Good.
Very nice to see you again. I'll come in and shake your hand in a second. Been a long haul, hasn't it?
Too long.
Yeah.
Yep, but I did it.
You really did. Difficult transplant.
Yeah.
You were very, very, very sick. Yeah, and the liver's worked very well for you. When you set on a journey with transplant, you take in an organ that can save somebody's life. And once you've made that commitment, you've got to make sure that you do everything possible to get a successful outcome. Others will approach you and say, this is hopeless. We've been here for 3 months now. We're making no headway. We should just pull the plug and let the person die. But we've got to think more than how much is a person's life worth and how much to give, how much not to give. You've got to think about the value of the organ. You have a huge responsibility to the organ donor family and to the organ to do what it's meant to do, which is to save a life. Very lovely to see you, Pat.
Yeah, it's nice to have met you.
Yeah.
My lifesaver.
Well, likewise. It's been a pleasure to look after you. Great pleasure to look after you.
Yeah.
Have a hug.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right.
There.
Well, good luck in rehab. Keep your spirits up. Lovely to see you, Pat.
Okay, bye-bye.
Despite her struggles, Pat is still one of the lucky ones. Hundreds of people die in Canada each year waiting for transplants, and thousands in the United States. At the Texas Heart Institute in Houston, Doris Taylor and her team are taking a new approach to addressing the organ shortage.
Let's try the light on this one and see if we can get a good image of the vasculature. Okay? As the number of people who need organs goes up, the number of donors has plateaued. What that means is we had to find new solutions.
The new solutions they're working on start with donated organs that are not suitable for transplant.
We take an organ, a cadaveric organ, that couldn't otherwise be used for transplant, and we strip that organ of its cells by using a detergent or other solution to basically wash those cells out of the existing organ scaffold. And what's left is what we call the extracellular matrix. When you wash the cells out, what you have left is that underlying framework where the cells sit that looks like a heart, looks like a liver, looks like a kidney, because it is a heart, a kidney, a liver framework.
Building a new organ starts with stem cells that could come from a patient's own body.
Stem cells are simply cells that can do two things. They can make more of themselves, self-renew, and they can differentiate or become different kinds of cells.
It's good. There are no clumps. No. No clumps and lots of cells. Yes.
The stem cells they're using don't yet have a specific function, but when they're infused into the organ framework, an amazing thing happens.
Those stem cells seem to get cues from that matrix about where to go and what to become. There are biologic cues in there that say, oh, I should be a muscle cell here. I should be a blood vessel here. I should be an artery here and a vein here. And we can put cells in and have them migrate to the right place.
But getting stem cells to the right place is only the first step. The real question is, will the organs work? Can they build a heart that will actually pump blood and beat? Each heart spends several days in a special incubator that mimics the body's natural environment.
Too close. Here,
Then, the heart is removed from the incubator and a flow of nutrients is pumped through it to see if it will beat.
You can see the vessels. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. And what's beautiful is you can see that there's actually even blood flowing through the coronaries.
Yeah.
There's an air embolus, but I mean, you can see it.
That's awesome. It feels really good.
Yeah.
When you could take that heart, take cells that you were growing in the lab and transplant them back in and have them beat again, that was one of the wow moments in my life. Good, good. Turn it just. Yes, yes, nice. Everything that could have gone wrong didn't. It was just a home run.
These hearts are not yet ready for human transplant, but Taylor believes organs by design could someday save the lives of thousands of patients.
This one's still underway, right?
Her team is also experimenting with building lungs, livers, and kidneys.
What we're talking about is potentially having off-the-shelf tissues. There are two pieces to that are revolutionary. One, we can potentially build an organ. Two, we can build an organ that matches their body, because as you know, when you get a transplant, you're essentially trading your original disease for another disease, which is fighting rejection for the rest of your life. I'll be happy when we do our first clinical trial. I'll be happier when there are enough organs for patients who need them.
Research like Taylor's could transform transplant medicine. But for many patients, these advances will come too late.
I came here for a 2-hour doctor's appointment. Been here ever since. Waiting sucks.
Eight months ago, Willis Wood's heart began to fail. As he waits for a donor, he's being kept alive by an external pump that circulates his blood. There have been no matches, and his doctor knows time is running out.
I need really big breaths this time. So you're probably the highest status person in Alberta right now. You're a big guy, and this is why it's become difficult. The organs that I've seen that have come in are about 60 to 70 kilos. That's like 60 pounds smaller. That's a small child, right?
Yeah.
So if there's an organ for a heart that's anywhere between 80 to 90, Dr. Mullen in Edmonton and Dr. Kim have agreed that we will go ahead and do it if it's a perfect match otherwise. He's on call for the weekend, I'm on call for the weekend. So if we get a heart,
I'm on call for the weekend.
You're on call. I know you're always on call. And I'll be here the whole weekend, so I'll keep you updated every day, okay? Anything else I can help you with?
Find me a heart.
I'm on it. Okay. Talk to you later.
Thank you, sir.
There just aren't many donor hearts large enough for Willis. But if he gets any weaker, he won't survive a transplant.
I have grandchildren. That's what it really means to me. I want to get out and do things with them. And I'm willing to fight for that. If it was just for me, I'd have probably gave up. But I want to be there for my grandkids.
Meanwhile, Matthew Babchishin is still on life support. Scott Gordon from the Hope Team has come to discuss his family's decision about organ donation.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Sorry that
These are all the have-tos in life that you never prepare yourself for, right? If we could do any good, Matthew would want that.
Matthew was born here, and it's kind of sad that he started his life and finished his life in this hospital.
We were so proud that he was born here.
So we have all agreed that we will, Matthew's organs it will be donated. That is a
Which are
given.
listed as, like you said.
Yeah, I can go through all that specifically.
When it comes to the tissue, we did not realize part of the skin part was to the degree, and we did not realize the need for it at the same time.
I just want to donate the organs, and I'm not comfortable with the tissue at all.
I know we'd be going against Matthew's wishes.
I'm not comfortable with it either. I want to keep that intact. I've had Matthew taken from me. He's giving his organs. He's lost his life. But I'm just going for how I feel. Can we let's move forward, okay? We're moving too slowly for me. I need, let's move forward. You know, we're being all this delicate, and I need to get to my son. Let's move forward. Just do it.
Given the person that we know Matthew was, we would know that this is what he would have wanted. He would have done it without hesitation.
You should be filling out that form for me. Why did I have to fill that out for you?
Karen speaking.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Allie. We're trying to rush this as quickly as possible. This is a 28-year-old male, 84 centimeters, and 101 kilograms.
Matthew's death is just hours away. A huge effort has begun to save his organs, and a handful of people across Canada have just gotten the call that could save their lives.
I need to talk to Darren. Do you want me to page him? Yeah, I need to page him.
Before Matthew's life support is withdrawn, surgical teams and transplant recipients all over the country must be ready. Delays are inevitable.
Oh no, this is so unfair. This is so unfair.
EOR has delayed. They would like to delay for 1 hour. Oh, okay. I wonder, can I call you at a different phone, Darren?
I want to wake up from this nightmare. Oh, my son. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
2 floors away, the operating room is getting ready.
This has been an incredibly stressful time for everyone because it's been so busy. But this is a loss of their son, and it's been really, really hard on them. And as always, it's so totally unexpected. So if we can have like 5 seconds of silence to just remember the gift that this family is willing to give through their son. So they're gonna withdraw life support like any minute now.
Okay, what I will need from you in sequence is the scalpel, the skin knife, saw, coolie.
Asystole 2006.
Go save some life, Matthew. Go do it, Matthew. Goodbye, my son. Goodbye, Matthew. Goodbye, my son. Goodbye, my son. I will see you again, Matthew.
I'll call you when we're done, okay?
I'll see you again, Matthew. I love you, Matthew. Goodbye, Matthew. I love you, Matthew. I love you. I love you, Matthew.
Okay, so we're gonna go out into the right.
Off the respirator, Matthew's organs are starved of oxygen. Everyone knows it's now a race against time.
Who's checking the ID? Yep.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, suctions up to Dr. White. Keep the skin knife, please. Skin knife. Knife moving. Retractor.
We have found you a very good heart. Lots of complications that can occur along the way.
Yeah, well, infection, bleeding.
And any one of those things can contribute to not actually making it through this whole experience.
Yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start the final leg of this journey.
The identity of Willis's donor is unknown to him and to us. Matthew's organs went to others.
you know, Matthew is going to shine down and just say, thank you, Mom and Dad, for doing this. And I'm so grateful that you made this decision for me. I'm so happy where they're doing this for Matt. It's all for good with Matt.
2 years after his transplant, Willis Wood is fully recovered and playing with his grandchildren. Unfortunately, Pat Fisher continues to struggle with health issues. But Harlow Bergen is a healthy toddler.
Taking people near to death's door and eventually seeing them go back to leading an entirely normal life. We know that can happen every time we do a transplant. That's what we see time and time again, and that's what's rewarding for us.
The first thing that we tell people all the time is become aware, and whatever you decide, make sure you tell your family. Because it will be your family that will be asked to make a decision for you when you're incapacitated and you might die and become a donor.
Tonight's event is a celebration in memory of Matthew.
We want you to know that Matthew was an organ donor. We knew that he would want to give this gift of life to someone who needed it.
An icon of American engineering. One of the longest single-span covered bridges in the world. Destroyed in a hurricane. Now, an elite team of artisans and engineers races to rebuild it before rising waters wash it away again. Operation Bridge Rescue, next time on Nova.
Major funding for NOVA is provided by the following.
There's a moment